Madame Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, la présidente de la Commission de l'Union africaine, ma sœur, Madame Demitou Ambissa, la ministre de la Science, pour la Science et la Technologie de la République fédérale démocratique d'Éthiopie, Monsieur Steve Kaizi Mugerwa, qui est l'économiste-chef et vice-président en exercice de la Banque africaine de développement, mon collègue Eugene Oussou, qui est le représentant du PNUD en Éthiopie, et j'aimerais aussi reconnaître la présence de beaucoup d'anciens ministres et collègues comme mes amis Hamid Temar, Gunilla Carlson, et aussi le ministre de l'Industrie et du Commerce du Maroc qui éventuellement va nous rejoindre, ainsi que Atonewa et Gebrehab, le conseiller économique du Premier ministre d'Éthiopie. Mesdames et Messieurs, Excellences, invités distingués, j'ai le plaisir de vous accueillir à la 9e conférence économique africaine. Suite à notre appel à la communication, nous avons reçu une riche moisson de contributions pour appuyer l'élaboration par des Africains de politiques menées en Afrique. Cette conférence vient à un moment particulièrement important dans le programme de transformation de la CA. Elle est également très à propos pour la CA et son ambition de devenir le premier laboratoire d'idées d'Afrique afin de mieux aider les États membres à surmonter les problèmes que pose la transformation structurelle. Ces 9 dernières années, avec la Banque africaine de développement et le Programme des Nations unies pour le développement, nous avons offert, grâce à cette conférence, une plateforme où apprendre, échanger des points de vue et enrichir les débats intellectuels du continent. Cette année, la conférence porte sur le thème « Savoir et innovation pour la transformation de l'Afrique », un sujet qui est très cher à notre présidente de l'Union africaine. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the continent abounds with examples of knowledge helping change the narrative. Kenya's financial inclusion performance through mobile banking is now quoted worldwide. Cardiopad, invented by Arthur Zhang, a 24-year-old Cameroonian engineer, enables heart examinations through tablets. The Safonian, invented by Anis Ayouni from Tunisia, attempts to offer an alternative way to harness wind and generate green energy that can be converted to electricity. In South Africa, a pedal-operated, self-contained, easy-to-assemble waterless toilet called the Savilu is being rolled out to respond to the need for innovative sanitation solutions. Eneza, that means to reach or to spread in Kiswahili, a virtual tutor and teacher's assistant on a low-cost mobile phone, is making waves in East Africa. M-Farm provides up-to-date market information and links farmers to buyers through a virtual marketplace and shared current agri-trends. These innovations bode well for the future. However, supplemental work is still required to speed up the pace of creation, as well as the absorption rate of new technologies, and spread these same technologies to all sectors of our economies. I'm encouraged by your strong turnout. Both young researchers and highly respected professors are here to make a contribution. Your respective institutions continue to create opportunities to engage and exchange with industry leaders from Africa's emerging knowledge and technology-driven commerce. I cannot overemphasize the importance of fostering a continuous dialogue between those who create knowledge and those who commercialize knowledge in the quest for structural transformation, industrialization, and sustainable development of the continent. As you know, sharing has a multiplier effect on knowledge dissemination. Arguably, one of the most important developments of the 20th century for enhancing economic development was the emergence and establishment of the knowledge-based global economy. Africa has to be prepared we can actually be net beneficiaries of this focus on the role of information, technology, and learning as a determinant of economic performance. We can leapfrog. We can offer frugal innovation. Technology has important implications for our ability to identify and exploit opportunities, to transform our economies, and for the employability of our growing young population. In today's knowledge-driven global economy, innovation and technology-oriented education is vital for sustained economic performance and competitiveness. In practical terms, innovation and technology-oriented education gives our youth critical building blocks to secure their future. It ensures their integration into the more productive sectors of an economy and also gives them the capability to generate new sectors and products. In this context, the common African position on the post-2015 agenda is clear. No one is to be left behind. The continent is aiming for inclusive and sustainable growth that leads to the uplifting of each and every single African. We want simple households to be capable of building wealth, whether by establishing a competitive small business or by plugging into an industrialization drive. For this to happen, we have to upgrade skills and make them responsive to the employment demands. Let me delve a little deeper into the demands of a knowledge-based economy. One of its central manifestations is the codification of knowledge and its transmission through communications and computer networks. This means that workers must acquire a range of skills in order to meet the requirement to grow and learn continuously. At present, the world thrives in a learning economy. We must adapt and equip our youth with the ability to keep learning and, more importantly, implant in them a problem-solving mindset that will be a rich source of innovative ideas. Enabling innovation to spread through the entire economy implies an obvious role for governments and learning institutions. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Ebola crisis in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone is a tough reminder of how skills deficit on the continent can have a dramatic impact on the economic progression of affected economies. I certainly do not intend to dwell on missed opportunities of our education and wider national innovation systems. Suffice it to say that we have allowed ourselves to be lagging behind by just copying and pasting without learning. Our cumulative deficiencies in education, skills generation, and innovation pose an enormous threat to our ambitions for sustainable and inclusive growth. How do we change this attitude? By making sure that we are strategic in our investments and see social spending as part of our investment into the future. We are not going to be taken seriously if all we care is to have more GDP growth without translating it into quality. Countries that understand the scale of the challenge are the ones capable of relating policy ambition with dynamic innovation systems. If I seem to insist on national innovation systems, it is because a country's innovative performance depends critically on a collective system of knowledge creation. It also depends on how we manage knowledge centrally and how we use it, and how, with new technologies, we combine it. I should stress that national innovation systems can and should be complemented and enhanced by regional and continental systems. Some of our countries are a little more advanced than others. For instance, several South African, Egyptian, and Ugandan universities earned a world ranking in 2014 by the Center for World University Rankings. We can learn from their experience. I see an important role for the sharing of resources in the context of and in the furtherance of regional integration. I believe that most African governments recognize the importance of knowledge and also knowledge generation and innovation, but that is not enough. They need the institutional mechanisms that will help the majority of their citizens to derive direct benefits from it. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a key challenge for many of our countries is mobilizing finance to make the required reforms happen. The solution might come from building public and private partnerships. For instance, much of the job of reskilling our labor force takes place at the level of structure and on-the-job skills development programs in which business is a driving force. Where needed, business is already finding enough skilled workers to start low-end value addition. This is good news, but hardly heartening. We are only going to scale up industrialization if we respond to higher and sizable skills demands. For that, we need more synergy and synchrony between public and private sector actors. Capacities is not the same as capabilities. We have lots of capabilities, but we need capacities. We need capacity for strategic decision making, capacity for enhanced productive economic activities, capacities for aggressive absorption and generation of knowledge-intensive technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, in one sentence, capacity to transform growth into quality growth. This is a fantastic challenge for an intergenerational group of African economists like the one we have in this room. I thank you.